On this episode of the Climb Podcast, I talk with Matt Brandl, also known as Absol. Matt is a competitive Super Smash Bros. Player and a Pokemon content creator. His YouTube channel, Absol Blogs Pokemon, recently hit 100,000 subscribers. Matt is an excellent storyteller and has 10 years of experience in developing videos for his channel. Before you listen to this episode, please follow Matt at the links below. First of all, I know that you're a former Taco Bell enthusiast, going through your Twitter.
Oh yeah, the Taco Bell patch notes have been brutal lately.
It's so crazy. I only get the Mexican pizza, and they pretty much
it's all gone.
They got rid of it. They waged a war against potatoes. I don't understand.
Yeah. The shredded chicken is next too. It's all gone from like my regular spots now too.
I know it's so depressing, but
it is.
But the good thing is that you have 100,000 subscribers. So congrats on that milestone.
Thank you.
You're gonna get the silver play button, I guess, pretty soon, right?
I think so. So the process is apparently they give your channel a manual review before they decide to actually give the reward. I guess to make sure that you didn't use like bots to get up to 100,000 or something like that. But after that review process, they reach out to you for the play button. Just got the verification check mark today, which is
nice.
Crazy.
Congrats on
that.
But
I managed to wake up just in time to watch it roll over from 99,999 to 100,000 last Friday, and it was surreal.
Whenever I messaged you, I guess last week, I used the channel I used to do the podcast. I hit like subscribe on that, so hopefully
appreciate that.
Hopefully, I helped push that a little bit higher.
Yeah, pushed it towards it.
So yeah, it's I guess it's been quite a journey from you. So I did a deep dive into your channel. I saw the very first video. Actually, I appreciate that you number every single one of your videos.
Thank you.
So yeah. I could figure out how many you've actually made. And you're at, I believe, oh no, I lost the number. You're in the 500s, right? 500.
Right, somewhere like 530 something.
Okay. That's an insane amount. And I went all the way back to the beginning. Introduction to the Madness, March 17th, 2010. For your very first video, where you sound radically different. You had a true Southern Louisiana accent.
Oh yeah, and I was also like 14 years old at the time, so I was just trying to sound cool, trying to make my voice sound deeper. But in the end, I just sounded really weird. So fun going back to that stuff, though.
I know it's pretty cool, like to see like where you start, and you have that documentation the whole way through. Whenever you record yourself, so 10 years ago, that's 2010,
right?
So you used your Nintendo DS for a light, I think, from what I heard you say in that video, as you were recording.
Yeah, like I had a camera that couldn't even focus on a DS screen. Like that's just how most digital cameras were back then. They didn't have really good focus, so I had to like rig up a camera box with like some Velcro on it and a magnifying glass to even get like footage of the DS screen back then. Equipment's gotten just so much better over time. Like phones are better cameras than the camera that I was using back then, and that's just so crazy to think about nowadays.
Right. And I guess as time like went along, how are you able to like keep consistent with, or how did you decide on, I guess Pokemon's obviously your passion, right?
Right.
How did you decide like this is what I want to keep on doing?
It just it never stopped being fun, really. Just doing Pokemon videos. Like it was just a little hobby that I had throughout high school, honestly. Like during the school day, I think of like new things to do. I first started out trying to catch them all, and then I started to get into shiny hunting. And as I kept going with it, it's just never really gotten old. It's just continuously on my mind. What's the next video I'm going to work on? And it gives me something to look forward to outside of like regular day-to-day like activities. Right. There's never really been a lapse or a point in time where I've just been like, what's the point of doing this anymore? Because it's just always been so much fun.
Right. It's I guess Pokemon is such like an expansive universe, right? It's
crazy
when you think about it in terms of like content creation too. So I guess for those like listening to this podcast for the first time ever, and they're new to like Pokemon content creation, like everyone's aware what Pokemon is. It's pretty much the world's leading, I guess, like entertainment brand. What is the Pokemon community like for content creation?
it's so diverse and huge just because of the nature of what the games are in the first place. Like it's got both a massive casual audience and a massive super competitive hardcore audience too, which is something you don't normally see from most games. Because like when you think in the esports world, you think of the games like League, the games like most fighting games. Some of those might have like a small story mode or something, but Pokemon's like an RPG that just happens to also have a very strong competitive scene, and it just brings in like pretty much people from all walks of life, people of all sorts of interests in the series in different ways. So content creation in the Pokemon community has always been super, super varied across people. Like there are some people who primarily focus on battles, people who primarily focus on like shiny hunting or just making top 10 lists of their favorite Pokemon just because of how big of a media franchise it is. And in recent years, challenge runs have really started to take a rise too. And it reaches a point where the Pokemon community in content creation is just so huge that it's hard to keep track of them all. It's actually crazy.
Right. I remember. So whenever I started, it's pretty weird because I guess I'm a 2-time Laps fan. I guess.
Oh yeah.
I guess I'll talk about the first time a bit later. But whenever I moved from New York to Louisiana, in 2002. Like I became like a Laps fan because everyone was just like, man, Pokemon sucks, or you shouldn't get into that. And I think I remember the first time I actually rage quit the entire series was watching the Pokemon series for the anime for Johto.
Oh wow.
And like every episode Team Rocket just does the same thing, and I remember yelling at my TV. I'm like, they do the same exact thing every episode. Why am I watching this? Why am I keeping up with this? And so I quit right before the third generation came out. So I guess it was pretty interesting that I came back into it, and I watched, or I was part of the Cypokes community, if you remember that.
Oh yeah, classic.
And then I got into like Gen 4. I skipped a gen. I went directly to Gen 4. I got to the competitive side, and then I just went like Smogon, like with the OU meta, with like the Skarmory, Blissey,
classic stalling,
or Paraflinch, Jirachi. So I guess it was pretty interesting that I became lapsed after, I guess with this new generation. Just because it I guess it's just so weird, but I guess that creativity that's allowed in that, I guess, helps you like get from, if there's any sort of like dip right in the series quality, you can always just find something else to go to, whether it's like Pokemon Go or I guess I saw the challenge that you did with training a glitch Pokemon to level 100.
Oh yeah.
Or even with Let's Go to capture all those Butterfrees.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy just to see the level of creativity that I guess you have whenever you do these videos. I don't know, like I don't know how you come up with it. Do you like wake up one day, you're just like, okay, maybe I should do this? Like what kind of planning do you have whenever you go into something like this?
That's seriously kind of how it goes sometimes. Like sometimes I just go for a walk, playing Pokemon Go or something, and I see a Pokemon and I'm like, man, I haven't thought about this one in a while. And then sometimes I just hit the search engines and I start looking up that Pokemon, and sometimes I learn about new weird glitches or things you can do with that. Or I just think about what I can do within the confines of part of a game. Because exactly as you said, if there's ever like a time where something in Pokemon gets boring, there's just more Pokemon out there to fill that void and stay interesting. It's kind of crazy with how massive it's become. Like even if like the newest iteration might disappoint you in some way, the older games always just have more and more things to do. And it seriously just like comes to me sometimes where I'm thinking maybe this would be a fun thing to try out, and then I try it out or I do a little bit more research, and then eventually snowballs into a video.
Right. The amount of preparation that you put into your videos, I've seen like some of I've watched like some of the movies that you've made, I guess based off of each generation. I guess the latest one would have been with the Isle of Armor DLC.
Right.
How long does it typically take you to do a video start to finish?
It's a pretty long process a lot of the time. Like the gameplay itself usually only takes as long as the gameplay takes. Like I usually don't go into too many of those videos with too many video plans. I just kind of get a bunch of footage as I go. One philosophy that I learned from a class that I took in college is when you're working on a movie or a video or something, it's always good to have a surplus of footage compared to not enough footage. So I'm just constantly recording things whenever I play through. And really the bulk of the work comes whenever I get into editing and breaking down that footage, going through all of it and sorting it and organizing it. Sometimes it can take me a couple months after I actually finish filming a video to really sit down and get everything all worked out and finished. But it's not really a real couple months of actually working on that video. It's maybe just like a couple hour-long sessions here and there over those couple of months. It's a very gradual, like, piecewise process, and I really like to edit videos in a way where I keep working towards building up a final video without much of an outline in place, just so I can keep going back and watching what I have so far and until I'm satisfied with that before moving on. It's a weird iterative process, but I'm pretty pleased with the results most of the time.
That's absolutely insane just to think about, because like a lot of your videos go above like the 30-minute mark. And I've seen some that like eclipse like an hour.
Right.
But the level of engagement that you have is really crazy. I think like, so I mentioned the missing node glitch from Pokemon Red and Blue. I think that was pretty much like the tipping point in terms of like the amount of views that you were getting. Like, would I be correct in saying that?
It was a little bit before that, actually. It kind of worked in a strange way with the views. Like, that level 100 Gauntlet series, like, for a couple years, most of those videos were sitting around 10,000, 15,000 views, which I still considered pretty significant at the time, because back then I had maybe 5,000, 6,000 subscribers. The real tipping point was in January of 2019, and it started with training a Pokemon to level 100 before the first gym in Ruby and Sapphire. That was a video from 2015. But the first day of 2019, just the YouTube algorithm decided to pick up that particular video and recommend it to people. And then they started getting kind of caught in a recommendation vortex of my videos after clicking on that video. And then all the other level 100 challenges just kind of followed suit after that. And that's really where I saw the first major jump in viewership. It was almost surreal just watching my phone go with new YouTube comments throughout that entire day on videos from years and years ago. I think a lot of people didn't even realize how old those videos were, because they were addressing things like, oh, haven't you played this newest game? They already addressed that. And I was like, I made this video 5 years ago. YouTube algorithm's mysterious like that.
Yeah, I guess it's really crazy just to see like what would be that sort of, I guess, breaking point, that tipping point, to where like the videos that you've had, the increase in quality that you've had, and the increase, I guess, in practice that you've had over a long period of time, I guess it's just something finally, I guess, clicked with the algorithm, and then everything, I guess, just started to fall in line, like in terms of just that viewership. I think one of your videos passed at least one past 1 million on the 1 million view count, right? And that would be the Let's Go With Your Butterfree, the title, video number 487, training a team to level 100 before the first gym. I watched the entire thing, and it's crazy like how good you are figuring out a narrative along like a long piece of content like that, right?
I appreciate that.
Which you've put in. It took you 33 and a half hours to capture 819 Butterfree with the Pokemon Let's Go mechanic, to where you're constantly slinging Pokeballs at different, weighted Butterfree to be able to get that bonus multiplier, right? And, And I guess it was interesting, like along the line, whenever you were doing production, you went to Low Tier City 7 at Esports Stadium, Arlington, Texas. Great venue.
Incredible venue. That place blew me away.
That wasn't your first time, right? We went. Did you go to Ultimatum?
I did not actually. That was my first time going to that venue.
Oh wow. But I remember you said that like multiple people like recognize you from the videos that you've made. Like they've seen your videos and they recognize you over there. I guess, how did that feel?
It was really, really surreal. It wasn't quite the first time it had happened, because it actually happened at Wing Fingers a couple months earlier, local wing restaurant that I really like going to. Someone walked up to me and were like, "You make the Pokemon videos, right?" And it's a feeling that it's still really hard for me to process when that actually happens, because it's something that I never really expected to have happen in a million years, where someone would walk up to me in public and just talk about videos, even though I had never actually personally met them before, but they had seen some of my content before. And it's just a crazy feeling. Like, I didn't even know how to respond at first for a while. I just kept profusely thanking them for watching, but I don't even know if that was the correct response. It's a crazy feeling.
I guess whenever you're doing like those sorts of videos, right, you put in like so much of an effort into producing the content that you do. And I guess I can't like put into words like what kind of feeling that must feel like, right? Where your work is being recognized, like not just online, right? Not with like the counts, but once you get like that in person, I guess gratification, that in person like feedback, that must have been like, I guess, such an elating feeling.
Exactly. Yeah, like it really reminds you that like every single viewer that you see on a video is like an actual person, which is just so crazy to look at. Like, I know a lot of people sometimes get disappointed when their videos only get like a few views compared to what they normally get, but I'm still like taken aback when like one of my videos gets like 5,000 views like on the first day or something like that. Right. When it's just something I've never been used to before. Like it's crazy just thinking about how many actual people might be like watching what you do.
Right. That's always the, I guess, scary and fun part in a way.
Right, exactly. Like, it is kind of scary because you are kind of just putting yourself out there like that. Like, it's it brings in some very, very interesting comments, that's for sure.
and that, like, that sort of feedback, that sort of critique, because you're always going to be under a sort of microscope in a way, to where if you mess up on one sort of caveat, right, you can't cover like every single possibility. Although it seems like in that Butterfree video, you kind of just like went at it. You did all the calculations, you did all the preparation that you could possible. You made it as scientific as possible. You broke like the throwing down to a science. You pretty much broke down the multipliers to a science, how long it was gonna take to do it. And that sort of like montage to where like you would think like a video about catching almost 820 Butterfrees would be monotonous, right? But I saw the once you realized that sort of monotony was kind of setting in, and once you're trying to level the rest of your party up to level 100, that's when you did the road to Viridian City. Which took me back, I guess, to the time that I pretty much rage quit the entire series, because it was such a good track. I think my cousin had the CD, and so whenever I spent like the summer at his parents' place, I think I was listening to that right before high school, so it was pretty cool. It definitely brought back a lot of childhood memories.
Thank you.
So whenever I was looking through your channel, I think I touched upon this earlier, the main takeaway that I got was that you know how to tell a story, a sound story, in terms of where you start at the beginning with a simple concept, right? And then you're
Right.
able to figure it out to the finish, which I guess comes with like experience, right? You kind of experiment with what, I guess, with your style, and you're able to figure out along the way something that worked for you. I guess how have your videos like evolved in terms of like what you personally want to do along, I guess, those 10 years?
It's definitely been a process of trial and error for sure. Trying things out, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and it's been in and out of Pokemon too. Because I have made a lot more videos other than Pokemon stuff. Like I started out like way back in the day, even before that, making Guitar Hero videos, which were really rinse and repeat.
Right.
But when it comes to
I saw
like
that.
the visual storytelling and stuff like that, one of the most eye-opening experiences was actually way back in 2010 when I went to a robotics competition in high school, and we decided instead of doing a presentation through PowerPoint, we'd do a video presentation. So we made a quick 11-minute video detailing everything about the process of making our robot. And whenever we showed it to the judges, they were just about to fall asleep watching it because all we did was talk about the specs of our robot, and we didn't really have anything interesting, any variety. We just showed a bunch of diagrams, and we were just talking about next for our robot, we did this. And just watching the reaction right there, just pure unfiltered from those judges, it was like one of the first big video editing learning experiences for me to always go back and make sure that the video itself, the finished product, is watchable before presenting it. And I've just kind of driven that into my brain ever since then. Like I'm continuously rewatching everything that I've made as I've gone since then for like 10 years. And I like to watch from many different perspectives, like starting in the middle of the video, starting at the beginning of the video, just seeing how it all flows. And if I've sensed just something's not right with that flow, then I like to go back and rework it. It's a very iterative process for sure. And over time, it went from not having much footage at all to what I guess I'm doing nowadays, where I don't even know how long the videos are going to be whenever I start on them, and ultimately I just focus on getting everything that I want to show into the video over getting the video to a certain length.
Yeah, it's I guess it's pretty interesting. You graduated with your degree in computer science, right? Or
Right.
from La Tech, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you think like that sort of like iterative process, like I guess that's seen, I guess, in computer science, do you think that like influenced you in any way, like in the way you think about it? Because I know like in terms of like engineering, I see how some of my colleagues can like present things in sort of the same way that you've mentioned, and it's like you have to make it look as sexy as possible to be able to get your point across.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I think like the two have kind of gone hand in hand in that. Like throughout the computer science learning process, I've learned about the processes that the industry uses and the processes in my current programming job right now, and they're all very iterative as well. And the way I've made videos has definitely influenced the way I've worked on software, going back and testing it very thoroughly, and vice versa. Like a lot of the ideas that have been kind of just hammered into my head in school kind of go back to my video making process. Like making a video is kind of just like making changes to a program at the same time. And I guess the testing process is viewing the video beforehand, previewing it, thinking of it from different perspectives, like from an outsider who might not understand Pokemon as well.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much like the way you have to look at it, right? Because if you're making these sort of videos, you have to figure out like how can you make the content accessible, I guess along like different steps of the way, right? It helps that like Pokemon is completely casual on the surface.
Right.
I guess as you go deeper, you kind of just like, what the heck is going on with this, right? If I came back right now, I wouldn't know like what's going on in terms of like the competitive scene, which is what I would be most interested in, and just that sort of content, just to figure out, okay, where can I dive back into this series? And you're channel is pretty much just like a chronicle history of it, especially with your Reggies and the Braille guide.
Oh yeah.
I think that's one of your more recent ones where you pretty much just said like why you enjoy looking for the different Reggies and Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and how that sort of legendary encounter pretty much beats out like all the other ones, right?
Right.
So, and what was great was like you touched upon that sort of like childlike amazement, and the adventure that you have to go on, right? Everyone has different unique adventures, I guess, in life, and in Pokemon that still is true. Every experience that you go through is going to be completely unique because of that. So it's really cool to see how you try to solve the different I guess the different puzzles over there, and you use Braille to decipher it all. It was pretty cool how you like thought of that. Like I would just bought the guide like outright.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
And just went right into it.
Yeah, I still am shocked I made it that far back then, for sure. There's still a little bit more to the puzzle that I didn't get, but referencing the Braille, like that kind of stuff is just what I think Pokemon really is at its core. It's got just such a sense of discovery and mystery at the center of it all, and sometimes it's easy to get caught up in just how much information we have out there, and we tend to forget that sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
But accessibility is another really big thing too. Just how you're talking about getting back into it now these days might be really overwhelming with how much new stuff they've added. But they've really been addressing the accessibility side of things a whole lot, especially on the competitive side within the recent generations. They just keep adding more and more items that allow you to take even the Pokemon that you used on your casual playthrough and turn them into things that can be completely competitively viable. And it's just incredible to see how far they've come with that, because going back to like 2010, 10 years ago, I kind of wanted to do more competitive battling things, and that's just something that my channel's never really gone in the direction of. But I just didn't have much access to it outside of online battling, because if you wanted to compete in official tournaments, you'd often have to just drive like 2 states over to regional qualifiers, and that's just how it was. And these days, they've made it so it's completely accessible, even 100% online now, where you can qualify for tournaments just by playing online. And the whole process of getting a competitively viable team has been streamlined too, because that's another huge barrier to entry that used to exist. Like if you didn't want to hack your team in, it would take such a long time to gather a team, and at that point you'd have to also test out that team in battling, which is where so many battle sims like Showdown really came into play, so people could actually test out the battles and get that game knowledge before they went out and spent all that time creating their team. So yeah, accessibility's been huge over the past few years.
Right. I remember competing. It's really interesting because I had to do, like, we live in Louisiana, so opportunities 10 years ago were pretty much non-existent.
Oh yeah.
At that point. So the only things that I could find were just like online tournaments, just using an online client. And if I found anything that was like in person, I would have to come up with a team in maybe a week or so. So I'm not going to do all that.
Not much time to prep.
I'm not going to do all that grinding. I'm not going to do, like, I already understand like different mechanics, but like in terms of accessibility on a competitive scale, you have to go through hoops just to even like get a team set, and you don't even know if that team is like good or not unless you use simulations
Exactly.
before that. So it was such a turnoff at that time. Like the 2 options I had competitively, or 3 options, was to either learn play Street Fighter 4, which is an amazing game, play Brawl and just feed myself into like the Meta Knight meta, or
get chain grabbed by Ices for a few hours.
Yeah, pretty much, or go into Pokemon. So I tried to go into Pokemon a little bit. I took a break from practicing Brawl, and then I was like, there's nobody around. There's not that much of a scene that exists. And so I said, okay, let me pick up Street Fighter. And for some reason, it didn't click with me. So I was just like, okay, let me go back to Brawl and get this all figured out. So that's kind of how like I stayed with Smash along the line, because I started out in 2008 doing like online events, and then I did like my first offline in 2009, and 2010 was kind of like that weird that split in the road to where I didn't know like what I was gonna go and do, and so I kind of just stuck with Smash, for better or worse, I guess. But it's all crazy just to see like how incredibly expansive like the Pokemon franchise is whenever you look at like the competitive side, like either cards,
Right.
which did you ever watch the economics explained on the Pokemon trading card boom when they went over the first edition mint edition or mint condition holographic Charizard card? I think like a Logic bought like a card for like $220,000 or something crazy like that. So they went over like,
Oh my god.
they're like, why are we seeing a Pokemon trading card boom? It's a pretty interesting topic, I guess.
I'll have to check that out because I know there's been a recent huge boom in cards after some celebrities started to open up some cards. Like, I kind of just want to go through my collection soon and see how much the prices have gone up on some things.
Yeah,
It's been really crazy over the past few months for sure.
yeah, definitely. It reminds me of like my parents were all hyped up about like the Beanie Babies in the 90s, so they bought like a whole bunch of them, and we still have them. We never really sold them. I don't know why we collect them in the first place, but just to see like something that you've collected, and if it, as long as it's in like I guess it has to be appraised like you would for like any other like antique, right? At this point,
Oh yeah, you have to send them off to get graded for the maximum value.
so it's insane. I actually do have a holographic Charizard card. I remember when I was young, this guy wanted me to give him my card to keep. I'm like, no. So I just held on to it. Since then,
Made the right choice.
I know. I have a binder that my grandmother gave me that has like my name and Pokemon Master under it. So I have to go bust it out and see if I could figure out like what it is. I don't think I'll ever sell that card. It's probably
Oh, yeah.
It's probably gonna be rated like 5 or under. I don't think it's a first edition at all. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'll be
Yeah, you never know.
$200,000 richer at that point.
Oh yeah.
So I guess moving forward, in terms of what where you want to go with the channel, I guess now that you've reached the milestone, you reached the first trophy milestone, like where do you think like this is going to take you, I guess, down the road? Like what would be like the most ideal thing that you would want for your channel?
That's a very good question. It's like I'm almost at a crossroads right now. Like at this point, I'm starting to see a chance where it would almost maybe be even viable to work on videos and streaming full time for a little while. And that's something that I've considered for a while. That would be an incredible thing to start on. But regardless of that or not, I think I intend to just keep going at it with what I'm kind of doing now, where I'm taking on all sorts of weird challenges as I think of them, find shiny Pokemon, and I think I kind of want to start doing more videos like that one about the Reggies, where I just kind of tell stories about Pokemon from the past, because I don't know, I just really found myself in an element saying that, and I haven't really made too many videos like that.
Yeah, because
But
I'm sorry.
yeah, I don't really have too many super lofty goals at the moment. But I've just got so many video ideas that I have right now, and so many unfinished projects just sitting on my desktop, that it's going to be a while before I really start to have to think about what the next really big idea is.
Right, as like, since some of your videos take like so long, you have like a bunch in the pipeline that you work on like along the way. Like how far in advance do you, I guess, work, or when do you decide like my video is to the quality that I want to publish?
That's a tough one. Yeah, like it usually just comes along as it goes. Like I very rarely film an entire video and decide at the end of it this isn't worth posting. It's only probably only happened to me twice, and that was only because I didn't get enough footage for those two videos. Otherwise, they just kind of sit in folders on my desktop with like gigabytes of footage that I eventually sort through. And with the way the whole process that I do it, by the time that I put on that to be continued screen, I'm typically pretty much ready to publish it. I render it out, and then I do one more test watch a few hours later because I've always believed that it's good to just take a break from something for a few hours and then look back at it again to look for anything. And then I open up like maybe Notepad and make note of any timestamps where I might have to make some corrections. Then I make some final corrections and just express ship it out. While I do like to go back and look through things so much, I also believe in not looking too hard over everything. Sometimes it's good to just say, yeah, this is good enough, and post it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been able to just keep consistently posting for so long. Because like I'm a perfectionist in some ways, but in other ways I'm the furthest thing from one. So just combining perfectionist tendencies and non-perfectionist tendencies in a perfect balance has helped a lot.
Right. I really like the to be continued graphic at the end, just to kind of keep in line with the anime.
Oh yeah.
It's such a good thing too, because it's like the story never ends, right? There's always like something that you can go. There's always something that you can consider. Like I've seen like with Pokemon Go and how big that was like a couple summers ago. I remember at UL just like how big and how like collaborative it was, and that scene has to be like so good for content as well, to be able
Absolutely.
to be able to like either just network with somebody or make friends in this specific area, just to be able to bond over. I see like on some of your videos you had like these different community days for Pokemon Go, and it's so cool to see like with your YouTube you can also use that as a platform to create like your own community.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Pokemon Go Community Days is one of the best things they've done. Like the whole like beginning of Pokemon Go back in like July of 2016. I remember walking around Louisiana Tech's campus at like 3 a.m. just with like friends, new friends, even some professors, and it's incredible how that game just brought people together and formed communities around it. And I've met some people now who are friends just through playing Pokemon Go ever since moving down here. And yeah, community is a huge part of Pokemon for sure though. Like I don't think without like having a massive community, I don't know if I'd still be doing stuff to the extent that I do it right now, especially shiny hunting. I've made some of my best friends for life through just the shiny hunting community, which is something that used to just be so kind of just obscure and very, very niche with not too many people doing it, and it suddenly exploded onto the mainstream of Pokemon. And yeah, that community's definitely always been there for me. Like sometimes whenever I was just making videos, they were some of the first people to just tell me, hey, I like what you're doing, keep it up. And that just gave me that extra spark of motivation to keep going, to keep trying crazier challenges and stuff.
Right. Do you always feel like you have to like one up yourself, or do you feel like you can just stay like the course?
I'm always in a mood for constant improvement. Like that's always a goal, to just keep pushing and striving to do better. But I don't necessarily always try to one up myself in terms of how challenging things are, because I think there are still great stories to be told through things that aren't as challenging as some of the other things that I've done before. I think at the end of the day, it's just about keeping up with that childlike sense of fun and wonder with it all.
Right. I guess I'll tell you one of my childhood experiences. I mentioned
Heck yeah.
I mentioned the first time that I became a Laps fan. Before I became that though, right before I left New York to come to Louisiana, I went to the Pokemon Center. I think I think it was in like its first year of existence out in Manhattan.
Oh, that place is awesome.
And like, have you ever been to like the old one before it became the Nintendo Center or Nintendo Store?
I think I went like right as they like still had a little bit more Pokemon stuff on the first floor back in like 2008.
Okay.
But I think it was probably already the Nintendo store by then, for the most part.
I think so, or it was close to becoming it.
Yeah.
It was such an incredible experience because so I had Pokemon Gold. I brought the cartridge with me, and so there was two things, right? That was the first time I ever played Melee, and that was probably like the genesis of why I got hooked into Smash, was because of the Pokemon Center. I had this as a kid. I was dumb as hell, and I told my friend, like, you know what? I want a Nintendo GameCube. I'm gonna unlock Jigglypuff for them in a 5-minute run at the Pokemon Center, because they let you demo the game. And I got up to Master Hand, and it cut me off, and I left so dejected. So I looked once I got out of the demo store or the demo center, and there's a big, like, I guess video tube that's right in front of you, or in the center on the second floor. And as you walk to it, you can put your cartridge into the slot, and it'll give you like an egg, or it'll give you a Pokemon or an item or whatever, right? And so whenever I put that into there, I could see like a Celebi just drop down into my cartridge, and I got Celebi that way. And it was such like a lasting experience. I didn't even realize what happened until I opened the game, right? I opened my save file, and it was such an amazing experience going there. You could see like all the different Pokemon that came out Gen 1, Gen 2. You can see all the different items and trading cards and games that they have in that area. That was the first time I ever saw like a preview of, I think it was Pokemon Forever on the what you call it, on like the theater screen, right? That they had on the side. And so they had like all the bells and whistles. If you love Pokemon, like that was like such a great spot to be at. And then wherever I went back, I think right when it became the Nintendo store, I saw like all the silhouettes of the Pokemon. It looked like a murder scene happened. Like you could draw out like their outlines on the chalk. But it's so crazy what like the presentation and the experience can do and how it can impress you, how you can stay with you for the rest of your life.
That sounds absolutely legendary. Everything about that experience.
It made me wish like I would have went like more often. I think I've only been twice, when it was the Pokemon Center, and maybe one before it actually closed, or like as it was transitioning. But it was like such a cool thing. Like I see like in Japan, and I believe Singapore also has like a Pokemon Center kind of thing.
Yeah, just recently opened up.
It's
pretty
like,
sure
that's something like I want to do, or I want to go like experience in some way, some form.
Yeah, like the one in Japan has like a giant like Mewtwo in like the tube, and it's so cool looking. I that's definitely like a trip that I need to make too someday.
That's like our, I don't know, that's
like a pilgrimage.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like we're just gonna travel the Pacific just to go to this one place. Obviously Japan has a lot of cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
I want to go check out. I feel like I want to spend a year there. But it's absolutely like amazing, like how the experiences that we have when we're younger can shape us for the future, right?
Absolutely.
And it's just amazing like what this one franchise can do. Even like, so nobody can see this on the podcast because I don't have any video for them, but you could even see like the Mewtwo. My icon on Discord is Mewtwo, and then yours is obviously Absoll. I mean, it's kind of obvious at that point. but it's so cool just how like how all this is how all that can be like intertwined, right? Oh,
Right.
I even forgot to mention. Have you heard of like the Pokemon Mini?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like the it was like the little console that could play like a few like mini games and stuff on it.
Yeah, yeah. So before I left, my parents bought me that. It was so weird because it had the three stars on it. You know, like Chikorita, Smoochum, and Wooper. Uh, uh, and it was such like an interesting concept to where they're trying to figure out like their market of where they can like expand with these sort of like little mini games. I guess it's like so obscure now when you think about it.
Right.
This thing came out almost 19 years ago, and it was probably only sold for like 1 year. But that thing had like 4 kilobytes of RAM in it. You were talking about like your phone, how like it's so powerful now. Like the crazy thing is just like how devices were back then.
Right. Things have changed so much over then. Like, well, with how prevalent it's been, it's crazy to think back to like how Pokemon didn't even exist like a little over 20 years ago.
Yeah, and now it's dominated 2/3 of our lives at this point.
Yeah.
I guess I'll let you go with this. What would you want to see from Pokemon in the future on a personal level, I guess, and on like for like your YouTube? Like what would you want from the future of the franchise?
That's a very, very good question. I think like ultimately on a in a very, very broad term, I think like they need to just take their time with things ultimately. The most recent DLC, the Crown Tundra, has really captured an old school Pokemon feeling that I haven't felt from the games in like multiple years. I've still enjoyed every new iteration of the games. Don't get me wrong on that, but the Crown Tundra really feels like what they're capable of doing without as much crunch time. And I really feel like there's just a whole lot of pressure on Game Freak and the creators of what's in this franchise now because they have almost impossible shoes to fill, expectations to meet. And I guess in the future, I just want to see them keep broadening their horizons and taking their time with it. Like, I think eventually they might need to just start looking into more creatives and bringing them in to help maybe shape the franchise because there's some very talented fan artists and stuff out there who I'm sure could put in really, really valuable input in shaping the future of the games. But they seem to be like many other Japanese game developers who are kind of draconic in the way that they handle fan creations. And I've seen so many fan-made games and ROM hacks get totally shut down legally when I think they should really embrace that. Bring in those kinds of people to really shape it, to keep it going for years to come. I still do think the franchise is as healthy as it could ever be, but I think embracing like its massive, super, super dedicated fan base can really just push things even further. And on the YouTube front, I just want to keep seeing interesting things that keep me coming back. Like, I love it when they just introduce things that just really don't need to be in the game but exist anyway. Like being able to cook curry for your Pokemon that give them experience points. All those extra weird detours you can take. That's what I really love to hyper focus on. I love going on strange monotonous grinds that they probably didn't expect anyone to ever do. Just because it's fun to see how long it takes and to tell a story about it. And I just hope to get more and more of those stories for years to come.